Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐈, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show, as always, live every Thursday evening, 7 p.m. sharp Atlantic Standard Time on YouTube. How you guys doing? I have not yet poured my drink, so just give me a second to pour myself a little glass of Hennessy VS Cognac. Guys, it's been a kind of week. So yeah, we're gonna, you think that's enough? We got a little bit more. We gotta finish this bottle. Are we gonna do it in this episode? Maybe, maybe not. Cheers and welcome to season 5, episode 6 of the Crypto and Cognac podcast show. As always, before we jump into it, housekeeping. Nothing. I mean nothing that I share here with you should be misconstrued as being financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, right? This is all about the way we have our yak on ice, right? It's all about information, conversation, education. I share with you, you share with me, and maybe on the other side of that, we all come out of it a little bit more knowledgeable about this crazy cryptic world of cryptocurrency. And what are we talking about this evening? We are talking about a lot of things that I've been hearing bandying about since, I would say, since last year, right? As we see new blockchains step onto the scene, as we see old blockchains step up, everybody is talking about whether or not Ethereum, the first blockchain to integrate smart contract technology, is it in trouble? Is it susceptible to losing its position as the number 2 in the space? Everybody kind of accepts that Bitcoin was the first, and you can't be the first after the first, right? So Bitcoin's position has kind of been solidified. Bitcoin's store of value property has kind of been solidified. So everybody's like, yeah, we're going to need some Bitcoin. And what else? Who is going to be that next guy, right? First of all, shout out to my boy Steven in the comments as always. Yes, Steve, we is drinking Henny. This is Henny and happy 2024. But like I said, we're talking about, is Ethereum in trouble, right? Because we've seen the rise of Solana, we've seen the rise of L2s. Everybody's talking about Ether's underperformance from a price perspective. People are talking about what transaction fees have done to Ethereum in terms of making it relevant for the average retail consumer coming into the space now. So I was having a conversation recently with my good friend Nicholas Huggins, who is an NFT artist. We were talking about his next set of NFTs that he's going to be releasing, and he was pretty confident that he's going to be releasing on Ethereum. And I was like, have you been considering other networks? And he was like, nah. And he was like, why? And I'm like, well, there's been a lot of talk. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna have that talk with you guys, right? Steven said Ether versus ADA. I don't know if that's the fight, right? I don't know if that's the fight, right? We don't know who is the other person, right? Is Drake versus who? Is Ether versus who? Is it Ether versus Solana? Is Solana Kendrick? Is ETH Kendrick? We don't know. Either might be Rick Ross. I don't know. I don't know when it comes to this particular discourse. I don't know where they are in the fight. No disrespect to the Cardano soldiers, right? But I decided to, take a look at the different elements that determine whether or not a blockchain is thriving, whether or not a blockchain is being successful. Look at those things and see whether or not Ethereum is susceptible or has any flaws in those particular areas. And some of the things that I looked at, obviously transaction fees, transaction times, the amount of activity, developer activity on the network, the security of the network, of course. I mean, we're talking crypto, so we want to talk about the level of decentralization on the network, the community that's backing it. Obviously, most people hear about the money. We can't get away from it. Some people for the technology, some for the money. So we have to look at the market cap and the price, obviously. We could look at hash rate, but since Ethereum has gone proof of stake, I don't know how relevant that is. And obviously adoption and use case. But I think one of the biggest threats to any crypto network, and I think one of the threats that we are seeing Ethereum facing now is that of regulatory uncertainty, regulatory pressure, if you want to call it that. So we're going to also look at the regulatory landscape and regulatory challenges. We're also going to look at the competitive landscape. And I think that might be the most pressing challenge that Ethereum is going to be facing as we see more and more new blockchains step up, as we see more and more L2s step up. How does that play a role in whether or not Ethereum is in trouble? So what we know is that over the last year or so, Ethereum has faced incredibly high and volatile transaction fees, right? But that's not something that's necessarily new, because when I started being very active in crypto in 2020 into 2021, we were paying some ridiculous fees to do transactions, $20 for a $100 transaction, $50, sometimes $70, depending on the level of activity in the market at any given time. So for us who've been around for a while, that's kind of normal. But for the normal average man who is now getting into crypto, looking to invest $50 or invest $100 of his spare cash, he can't be paying no $50 fees, right? So I think that was one thing that was, I think, super challenging for Ethereum. Right now, the fees have come back down significantly. So, $1, $2, $5 on the top end to do transactions. But if we are talking about crypto being a replacement for the traditional financial system, and we have systems right now in the TradFi space that, you're doing transactions for a few cents, $1 here, we cannot be offering something that doesn't have the level of adoption, but the price is, significantly higher. So I think that is one of the challenges that Ethereum faces in terms of its superiority, in terms of transaction processing time. I mean, it has become a bit slower. The peak usage tends to be even slower, and with that, those delays comes the higher cost, obviously. But on the other side, as we talk developer activity, Ethereum continues to have by far the most amount of developer activity. The people building blockchains are still most enthused about building on Ethereum, and which means that they see the long-term prospect, the long-term viability of the network And obviously they see the security of the network, because I think that's one of the big things that impacts people's decision to build on any given blockchain. I mean, outside of, meme coins, maybe some NFTs, that kind of thing, but for people building projects around DAOs, around all these kind of things, I think security has been a big case. And I mean, Ethereum has faced some security issues, the DAO hack back in the past, but generally Ethereum is considered to be one of the safest blockchains in the space. They definitely have one of the most enthusiastic communities, right? Of course, they have the maxis, they have the Ethereum heads who've been around since, day one, 2014, 2015. The people who've been around since the early fork, those kind of people, the people who got in the last couple cycles, the last couple bull runs, who still are very much Ethereum supporters. And I think Ethereum, as it continues to be the second largest crypto by market cap, I think it continues to be an attractive investment vehicle for a lot of people, especially institutions looking to diversify beyond just Bitcoin and participate in the crypto space. So I think it continues to have that level of attraction. The mere fact that we have been talking about Ethereum ETFs is a major sign, in terms of the level of interest, the level of belief, the level of community support that Ethereum has. See, cracking me up. Is there anything more expensive to move your ETH and BTC? I mean, moving it is not that expensive. I mean, bridging is expensive. Transacting tends to be expensive, but like swapping is expensive. But I mean, outside of that, just moving your your Ethereum from one wallet to the next wallet, it's not that expensive. I mean, $1, $2. Not that I've been moving around a ton of crypto lately, to know, but I think the fees are still relatively low, especially right now. In terms of adoption, in terms of use case, Ethereum has been probably one of the most widely adopted blockchains, even as we see the growth of L2s in DeFi, tokens with NFTs. Ethereum as the base layer continues to be the go-to. Like I said before, anybody building any significant project on chain that requires smart contract functionality tends to lean towards Ethereum. But what we've seen recently is that Ethereum is under threat by L2s, by other L1s like Binance Smart Chain, like Solana particularly. Solana has had an amazing run over the last year in terms of drawing interest, in terms of drawing adoption, in terms of increasing its what is the word I'm looking for? Its attractiveness to developers. So I think overall, Ethereum is holding its own. Within recent time, we've seen a little bit of regulatory uncertainty. I mean, a lot of people were excited, kind of waiting, hoping that the SEC would have made a decision around the new spot ETFs in the US. The SEC has decided to postpone that decision, kick that can down the hill a little bit further. which created some disappointment from a price action perspective. It continues to fluctuate between that 2932, 2900, 3200 range, which is not unique to Ethereum right now. I mean, Bitcoin continues to range right now. Solana continues to range right now. So I mean, it's not anything that is unique to Ethereum, but I have a couple of charts that I wanted to show you guys in terms of how Ethereum's transaction fees have moved over the last year. I mean, starting May 11, 2023, we're seeing where the chart is there at the top. That's like 0.002 ETH for a transaction, and what follow on 1 year later is about 0.0002 ETH per transaction, so about 1/10 of the price. So I mean, that is a good sign for people looking to participate more in terms of activity of developers. Like I said, Ethereum continues to be by and large the #1 go-to in terms of developer interest. Over 7,000 active developers. Interestingly enough, I was shocked when I saw this chart that Polkadot is in second place, despite the challenges they have had with their tokenomics, the challenges they have had with their market movement, their price movement, and the level of activity that has been shown towards that particular network. And then we have Polygon, Cosmo, Arbitron, a lot of L2s, and then way down we see Solana, who is making a bit of a movement in terms of their developer activity. Because Solana has been such a huge narrative over the last year, I wanted to compare Ethereum to Solana directly, because I think they are seen as the most likely option for especially in this cycle, for challenging ETH's supremacy, especially as it relates to retail. So we have one. This is an old chart. So ETH is no longer proof. Yes, ETH is proof of stake. Sorry, Solana is a pseudo proof of stake system. The language, Ethereum is Solidity. All L2s also use Solidity. Well, all EVM compatible L2s also use Solidity. So the ability to transition knowledge from Ethereum into an L2 as a dev, that is definitely been beneficial. The ability to move your project from Ethereum to an L2 or from an L2 to Ethereum also creates a lot of value for persons who are looking to build on that space. Obviously, Solana uses Rust. In terms of total value locked, sorry, that is what is right transaction per second. So Solana significantly faster. Fees, Solana significantly cheaper. In terms of total value locked, Ethereum is almost 11 times, 12 times the size of Solana. In terms of decentralization, Ethereum gets a 7 out of 10, which is an above average. Obviously, we know Solana is not really a decentralized, it's very much a centralized exchange. So a 3 out of 10, very weak. And obviously the biggest, I guess, knock on Solana recently has, and always as a matter of fact, has been its network stability, whereas Ethereum has consistently shown itself to be a solid blockchain in terms of those things. So what is my overall consensus as it relates to whether or not Ethereum is in trouble? I think not. I think it's just, it's a good narrative. It's a good talking point to get views. Maybe that's why I talked about it today. But above and beyond that, I think Ethereum is super strong. I definitely think that during this particular cycle, we're gonna see a lot of new retail get involved on other chains. Solana for one, L2s another, just because of the cost of transactions. People could get on and play with $10, $20 because the fees are, fractions of cents. That is not so much an option for the average person on Ethereum, but you never know. People are going to go where they perceive that there is value, where they perceive that there is growth opportunity, where they perceive that there is an opportunity for them to make money. So I guess it all is left to be seen. I think from a project perspective, still what I'm seeing is the serious projects. If you're considered a serious project, you're still building on Ethereum. Even if you have bridging capabilities to some of the other networks, if you are considered a serious artist, most of your main work is on Ethereum. Even if you have derivative pieces and editions and stuff that is meant to build your brand and intro collectors to you on some of the other platforms like Solana and that kind of thing. I think most of the serious blockchain artists, most of these serious digital artists are still building on Ethereum. I think a lot of the major DeFi projects are being built on Ethereum. And I think that's going to continue for some time unless we see something, a black swan event, happen in this space. I always joke that one of my fears as it relates to Ethereum is that despite it being so decentralized, there's still, a major single point of failure, and that is how tied Vitalik's brand is to Ethereum. And I just hope that kid stays on the straight and narrow, because that is one of the only things that I could see really derailing Ethereum at this point. But outside of that, I think it is here to stay. I think the approval of the Ethereum spot ETF is just a matter of time, just like the Bitcoin ETF was just a matter of time. We've seen people like Grayscale withdraw their application. I think that's just to go back and fix certain things and come again. And I think as we see more nation states, more national wealth funds get involved in this space, we're going to see them not only look to collect Bitcoin and use Bitcoin in their treasury or as a store of value. We're going to see the same thing for Ethereum. So for me, it's not in trouble yet, right? I think it, need to be a little aware of his surroundings. I don't think they need to be looking over their shoulder just yet. I don't think they need to be like checking to see who on their back just yet. But I think they just need to be careful, aware, not get complacent, continue to build, continue to ensure that the network is doing all the things that it promises. But other than that, I don't think he's in trouble, man. Adoption loading. Facts. Tell them, Steven. Adoption is loading. But guys, that's it for me this Thursday. Next Thursday, we have a really, really cool conversation planned. I would advise you to walk with your notebooks for that, right? This one is going to be fun. This one is going to be interesting. It is along the lines of what you guys all want to know about, how to make money in this place, how I could, leverage this in this place, how I could get the most out of this space for maybe not the most invested, but a little elbow grease. Yeah. So until next week, have a great weekend. Drink responsibly. Degen even more responsibly. Do not drink and degen. Do not drink and drive. Do not degen and drive. And I will see you next week, right? Right here. Tell a friend to tell a friend, right? Steven, tell them. Tell them, Steven. Nobody can. Anyway, guys, adoption is inevitable. Illuminati out. Bless. Cheers.